Hello everyone, this is the indirect statements lesson, which we call the Matthew's indirect statements lesson. The indirect statement is incredibly important. It appears a lot in Caesar and Cicero, as we've seen today. For this reason, I'm going to spend a little bit of a while on this presentation. It's a little bit longer than some of the others, but I'll try and get through it as painlessly as possible. So, when do we see this indirect statement? The indirect statement usually follows a verb of saying or thinking. So, by this way, I would be saying, I think that Brutus is killing Caesar. I believe that Caesar is lying on the ground. This structure usually takes the form of the accusative infinitive. So what we mean by that is that the noun or the pronoun is usually placed in the accusative case and the verb goes into the infinitive form. So, for instance, if I wanted to say, I believe that Toby is clever, it would be, I believe Tobium esse intelligentem. Tobium going in the accusative and esse being the infinitive. I've got now various different examples of these different accusative infinitives. We'll start off with the present infinitive. You'll notice on this page there are a couple of brackets after the verbs. This here represents what to do with the different tenses of the initial verb. So, the first one says credo, principem agricolae invidere. I believe, credo, in the present tense, that the emperor is jealous of Agricola. So the accusative is principem and invidere is the infinitive. We use here the present infinitive because we are saying the emperor is jealous of Agricola. If, however, in the second sentence, the initial verb is in the past, it is credebam. I was believing the emperor to be jealous of Agricola. Invidere is still in the present infinitive because even though the original verb is in the past tense, I believed that the emperor was jealous of Agricola. What you can actually do is say to yourself, what tense is the original statement in? What is he believing actually at that time? And at that time, our person is believing that the emperor is jealous of Agricola. So it's invidere, the present infinitive. The next one is the present passive infinitive. Scit. He knows many provinces to be annoyed by thugs. Now we wouldn't write that, we would say he knows that many provinces are troubled by the bandits. So that's the present passive infinitive. Again, this is the many provinces. At the time they are being troubled by the thugs. Sciebat. Now it's in the past. He knew that many provinces were being troubled by the bandits. Again, the point that one needs to make is that in one's head you need to think what tense is this original statement in his mind in this case. And even though it's in the past originally with the sciebat, in the past he is saying to himself, these provinces are troubled by bandits. So the vexari, there is the present passive infinitive. Now, this is where it gets more interesting. The centurion says that the enemies have halted. So in this case, the initial verb is the present because he is saying, but what is he saying? He is saying that the enemies in the past tense, perfect, have halted. So constitisse is the perfect infinitive. The centurion said that the enemies had halted. Again, think to yourself, what was the centurion saying? And he's saying the enemy have halted. The enemy have halted is the perfect. So what we've got there is the perfect infinitive. What about the perfect passive, you say? Well, we've got vir uxorem servatam esse putat. The man thinks that his wife has been saved. Uxorem, the accusative. Look at that putat, verb of saying or thinking. In this case, thinking. The man thinks that his wife has been saved. So, again, what he's thinking there, this is the perfect passive infinitive. The perfect passive infinitive, because he's saying in the past, my wife has been saved. At that time. The man thought that his wife had been saved. So again, it's in the past, but he's actually thinking in the past that even further in the past, his wife had been saved. So again, you need to think, what tense is that in? This one we've got the future active infinitive. The senators know for certain that the citizens are never going to give in. So for this bit, think to yourself, what is this statement? What is this knowledge that they have? This knowledge for certain that they know? This certainty. And this certainty is that never in the future are they going to give in. So it is going to be a future infinitive. Senatores proceto habent, cives numquam cessuros esse. The senators are sure that the citizens will never give in. What about the second one? The senators knew for certain that the citizens would never give in. So even though the initial verb is in the past, think to yourself, what tense is that statement in the past? And even though it's in the past, here the actual statement is going to be in the future. The senators were sure that the citizens would never give in. So, in that same way, where we were saying earlier on, I know that Brutus is killing Caesar. What tense is the infinitive in? It's the present tense. I know that Brutus has killed Caesar. What tense is the infinitive in? It's the perfect infinitive. I know that Caesar is going to die, or in the one that we were just doing, I know that Brutus is going to kill Caesar, then it's going to be the future, necatorum esse. This one is very rare, but with the future infinitive passive, we've got the following endings. Captivos interfectum ire nuntiat. He is announcing, nuntiat, that the captives are going to be killed. Captivos interfectum ire nuntiebat. He was announcing that the prisoners would be killed. So the same thing is happening, even though it's in the past, we've got there the future. Just a couple of extra points here. The use of se and the use of is, or in this case it would be eum because it's the accusative. Marcus says that he is living in Britain. We will use se. So when it reflects the subject, when the indirect statement has the subject as the part of that indirect statement, i.e. Marcus, then it uses the word se. But if Marcus is talking about his friend Quintus, Marcus says that he is living in Britain, and he's talking about Quintus, or someone else, then it is going to be eum. Then we've got use of the word nego, the negative indirect statement. Nego, which means I deny, I say that not, is used in the following way. Juvenis negavit se pecuniam perdit se. The young man denied that he had wasted his money. Perdit se there. Again, perdit se there, the perfect infinitive. Here are a load of examples, 10 examples I think. You've got them in front of you. Pause this for a second, look through it, and we'll go through it when they're all done. Okay, the first one. Servus. The slave says that a huge ship is approaching the harbour. What tense is the statement in? It's in the present, so it's present infinitive. The second one. All the citizens were believing that Claudius had been killed by poison. So this implies that actually at the time Claudius is already dead. He has been killed, and they're saying to themselves, I believe that Claudius has, perfect, passive, been killed by poison. All the citizens believed that Claudius had been killed by poison. Or in reality, I suppose, it was by mushrooms, by Livia. Mercator, the merchant, was hoping that he, this is referring to himself because it's se, that he was comparatorum esse, that he was going to gain great riches in Spain. Believed himself to be about to gain great riches in Spain. Future active infinitive. The senators know that a terrible war is being waged. So at the time, this war is going on, present passive. The senators know that a terrible war is being waged against the Britons. I've left those two words out, sorry. The next bit, audio. I hear that 10 men have been condemned yesterday. So it's not they are being condemned as we speak, it's I hear that 10 men yesterday have been condemned. So it is perfect passive, damnatos esse. Look at that, that's the accusative plural ending. Next sentence, amicus meus, my friend thinks that the city soon is going to be captured. Future passive. He's not saying he believes that he will capture the city. That would be future active. He's saying, I believe that the city soon is going to be captured. So it is future passive infinitive. Homo clamabat. The man was shouting that his pub was burning. What we've got there is that presumably the pub is on fire at the time. He's not saying, yesterday my pub burnt down, which would have to be a perfect active infinitive. He is saying here, the man was shouting that his pub was burning. So it's present. My pub is burning. He is shouting. The man was shouting that his pub was burning. Testis negavat. The witness denied eum that he had ever hurt the old man. Now what the eum tells us is that this witness is not referring to himself. He is referring to someone else. If he was referring to himself, as he denied that he himself had ever harmed the old man, then it would have to be se. And we've got there a perfect infinitive for noquise. Polikeord, I promise that I am going to fix the window tomorrow. Future passive. If it was, I promise that the window is going to be fixed, then it would have to be the future passive. This one is the future active. I think I said future passive. Sorry. This one then is the future active. I promise that I am going to fix the window tomorrow. Future active. I promise myself to be about to fix the window. That sounds awful. I promise that I will fix the window tomorrow. And last of all, the woman was suspecting that the boy was lying. If we look at mentiri, we might well think, well, that doesn't look to me like it is an infinitive. It is, of course, a deponent infinitive, so it looks passive but is actually active. The woman was suspecting that the boy was lying, so presumably she was suspecting at that time that he was lying. Not that he had lied the day before. That would be the perfect infinitive of the deponent verb, so it would be perfect passive looking but would actually be perfect active. This is present infinitive. The woman was suspecting that the boy was lying. So, things to remember after this relatively long revision presentation. First of all, look out for any verbs to do with saying or thinking. And if you ever see any verbs to do with saying or thinking, look at the words which follow and see if you can identify an accusative infinitive. The reality for me is that actually in most prose translations that I do, I almost every time when I see an infinitive, I almost always look for a verb of saying or thinking beforehand because they're so common, particularly in Caesar. So first of all, look out for verbs of saying or thinking. Second of all, look out for the accusative infinitive structure following any verbs of saying or thinking. And then, this would be particularly apparent obviously if you're doing English into Latin, which thankfully none of you will be doing, well in year 12 at least, unless you're listening to this before year 12. Remember that the tense of the infinitive has to reflect the tense of the original statement. I said that Brutus was stabbing Caesar is different to I said that Brutus had stabbed Caesar, or I said that Brutus was going to stab Caesar. So you need to think about what tense the original statement is in and give the appropriate infinitive afterwards. Hope this is okay and useful, and I will see you all tomorrow for Latin. Bye.